going on, Jerome's? So, general manager adofo-mensah has been in power over the last 2 years for the Vikings, and he's been a lightning rod. Like, he's been very divisive. Some people think they understand the analytical approach, hashtag trust the process. Other people just panning every single move that he makes. It's almost like Pretty Ricky Spielman's back. It's all that stuff, man. But the main point of discourse with Kwesi has been the 2022 Vikings draft class. His first class here with the Vikings, and specifically after the Vikings traded down from 12 to 32, and then also making some deals with the greasy grimy Green Bay Packers, making some deals with the Lions, passing up on guys like Kyle Hamilton, who's become a Pro Bowler with the Ravens, and guys like Jordan Davis, who certainly could help the Vikings D-line right now. We have the meats, and Lewisine... but we'll get to the class. But overall, 2022 is where most Vikings fans have issue with Kwesi, but things are starting to turn around. Like, it's almost like these guys are on rookie deals for 4 years, and just because they don't spark right away, especially last year on a veteran-laden team, doesn't mean that they're complete busts. And that, certain guys take certain amounts of time to pan out, and especially guys like Lewisine, who, remember, we're just over a year between him having a bone sticking out of his leg in London, which is my favorite. Bone sticking out of leg in London is my favorite Rolling Stones album. It's good times, man. But looking at the Vikings 2022 draft class, so we're about halfway through their sophomore year, and we're starting to get a clear picture of what they're going to be. And some of these guys are starting to turn the corner, and some of these guys are just ready to be like, they're that close to blowing up, man. So, of course, first off is Lewisine, and 51 snaps this year, all on special teams. Only 4 games played this season, as well as he's been a healthy scratch the last couple of weeks. And here's what I would say to you. So this is inaccurate because still have Hicks on there, but it's okay. But basically, the Vikings run 6 deep at safety right now, and the Vikings play 3 safeties on defense, and also Jay Ward and Theo Jackson are playing some fantastic special teams right now. And Harrison is still Harrison. Cam Beasley's playing at a Pro Bowl level, and Josh Metellus, frankly, is one of the players that makes this defense work. So I know that people complain about Lewisine not playing, but again, who are you going to take off the field? Are you going to take off Harrison, Beasley, or Metellus? No. Are you going to punish Jay Ward and Theo Jackson for playing really good special teams just because Lewisine was a first-round pick? No. So, again, it's not as much as it is about Lewisine as it is about the Viking safety room is stacked right now, is what it is. Second-round pick, number 42 overall, cornerback Andrew Booth Jr., much maligned last year, had a bunch of injuries, ended up with a meniscus surgery, but overall he's bounced back and played relatively well. 69 nice defensive snaps this season, over 6 games, a 50.4 quarterback rating when thrown at, which is pretty damn good, as well as 2 catches for 18 yards allowed on 5 targets. And it has been Booth and Blackman getting a little bit more run in there, and if Evans does miss time with that calf injury, obviously they're going to be playing a lot more, but it is nice to see Booth knocking on all the wood, staying healthy, and doing the best with his opportunities in this spot. Other second-round pick, Ed Ingram. So Ed Ingram was much maligned last year as well as the beginning of this season, where he was not good, even though he played every single offensive snap for the Vikings last year. And it's sort of an eyebrow-raising pick, especially since there's other more name value offensive linemen still on the board. By consensus, it was seen as a reach. But Ed Ingram, over the last couple of games, has really stepped up. We tweeted this out. Ed Ingram, the last 5 games, all Vikings wins, 67.7 PFF pass blocking range, which is 6th best in the NFL amongst right guards. 9 pressures allowed. 0. Goose egg. D'Angelo Russell sacks allowed. So he's allowing just under 2 pressures a game, which is really good for Ed Ingram, and 0 sacks. I think that we're finally starting to turn a corner. So big props to Ed, big props to the offensive line, big props to Chris Cooper for getting this thing done. Third round pick, 66. So Brian Asamoah, who I thought that Asamoah was going to have a big-time role in this year's defense, but I still believe in his future, but he's suffered from injuries, as well as Ivan Pace Jr. has really risen up and taken his spot, but he could get back into the mix with Jordan Hicks on an injured reserve for at least the next 4 games, but of course you got Troy Dye as well as Nick Candlelight-Vigil, and of course Anthony Barr all up in that mix, but I still believe in Asamoah's talent, just needs to stay healthy. 4th-round pick, Caleb Evans. Make a good case that Evans is the best player from the class right now. Even though he's dealing with a calf injury, hopefully he returns and is good to go for Sunday. 62.2 PFF grade, and tough, feisty, lengthy on the outside, super aggressive, great in run support, almost to his detriment, because they talked about what he had 3 concussions last year, and the Vikings shut him down to save him from himself. And he has worked on tackling technique. He does have new equipment, a new helmet, but hopefully he can stay on the field because I really like Caleb Evans. I think Evans is low-key going to be a stud going forward. Seizi Otamoa, 5th-round pick, edge rusher from the U, currently on the Jaguars practice squad. Just never really worked out. Ty Chandler, pick 169, damn good time. Ty Chandler is like Highway 169 here in the great state of Minnesota, always working on himself. With 5th-round pick, North Carolina, come on, raise up. So far, he's got a career 34 touches for 150 yards and a touchdown, and I think that he has a chance to go boom. Because Cam Akers out with an Achilles injury, no more Dalvin Cook obviously, and with Alexander Madison potentially going to miss on Sunday night against the Broncos with a concussion, I think that Ty Chandler has a chance to have himself a big time game. Josh Dobbs, the running quarterback, is going to open things up in the running game. The offensive line is there, so Ty Chandler's got that talent, man. Like he's got that X factor. He can certainly break off some explosive plays, and I think that he has a great opportunity to really shoot up the ladder. And hell, maybe he'll end up being the best player from this class. Who knows? 6th-round pick, offensive tackle Vidarian Lowe coming out of Illinois, straight to the Patriots before the start of the season for a 6th-round pick. He's actually started 5 games for the Patriots, a mix of left tackle, mostly right tackle, but hasn't been good. And the Patriots are very bad, and that is all. 6th-round pick, another guy who has a chance to go boom, wide receiver Jalen Speedy Naylor, the pride of Michigan State, formerly of Bishop Gorman. So he played 67 snaps on Sunday. Like, did everyone notice that? It's crazy. Apparently played 67 offensive snaps on Sunday, and in the absence of Justin Jefferson as well as KJ Osborne. And him finally being healthy, he's dealt with multiple injuries this year, but Kevin O'Connell's raved about him, his speed, his versatility. He was great in offseason work. He got dinged up on the first day of practice of training camp this year, but Kevin O'Connell raved about his versatility. Could play in the slot, could play in the X, could play in the Z, and I think that he has a chance to contribute even with Jefferson back, even with KJ back, even with Brandon Powell rising up, and even with Jordan Addison being an absolute stud. I mean, do the Vikings have enough work for 5 wide receivers? Maybe. He had a catch for 16 yards on Sunday on 1 target. Would like to see more of him. Then lastly, tight end Nick Muse, 7th-round pick out of South Carolina. So he's the best tight end 4 in the NFL. Hasn't gotten the field this year, but did play some good special teams last year for the Vikings. And then punter Ryan Wright, UDFA out of Tulane. So last year, Ryan Wright, you can make a good case that Ryan Wright was the best player from this class, and he wasn't even drafted. But this year, he's kind of struggled a bit this year. 41.6 yards per punt, 4 touchbacks, only 24.2% of his punts inside the 20 versus 44% last year. And I don't know, he just seems a little bit off. And it's not so much that coverage hasn't been there because Najee Thompson and company have done a great job. But Wright, he's a little bit wrong right now, but hopefully he can get back to being that absolute stud that we loved out of Tulane. Go Green Wave. And the whole thing about this draft class is again, a lot of Vikings fans like to complain about it, but they are starting to turn a corner. And I think at the end of the season, a lot of these guys will be seen as key contributors on the Vikings, especially Ed Ingram, especially Evans. Well, Ingram and Evans are already there, but also Booth, Ty Chandler, and then next year, if and when the Vikings don't bring back Harrison Smith, I do think that Lewis Cine could slide in as that replacement at the strong safety spot. So we'll see. But overall, like Kwesi, trust in the process, that whole thing. Let Kwesi cook. That was a cooking sound. Sizzle. Anyways, let us know your thoughts and our thoughts. Take a look back at the Vikings 2022 draft class about halfway through their second year. Let us know in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skull Production Value.